High school football, we have reached week number 9 as we take a look at another matchup, a Bull Run District matchup that is slated to be very exciting as the Clarke County Eagles host the Strasburg Rams. Last week, Clarke County with a huge victory over Page County 48-13. Now joining me, the head coach of the Clarke County Eagles, Casey Childs. And Coach, first and foremost, I know a little bit outside the game, but the week you had coming off a big win against Central, then turning right around to face off against Page County, it just seems like your team didn't really miss a beat there. But the short turnaround, just talk about that, getting your team prepared for that, and how you think they did all in all.
Oh, I think anytime you have you have to play two games in 1 week, it's definitely tough. And the fact that we were able to win both of them, I think that was obviously great for our kids and great for our program. It was, it's one of those things where after Monday, it was definitely a very physical game against Central, and it was an away game, very emotional. And so we really didn't even get in pads Tuesday, Wednesday at all, and then walk through Thursday. So we basically just kind of installed game plan and walked through it and watched film and everything else, nothing on Tuesday, and just stretched them out. So we were trying to be smart at what we did physically because we knew we needed the kids for a quick turnaround. And then they were able to do that and go down to Friday and play Page and put a good performance out there. And fortunately, we were able to get up early and get our kids out of the game and allow a lot of our other kids to get a lot of playing time. So all in all, it was a great week for sure for Clarke County football.
Yeah, we'll get into the game in just a second, but just how does it feel being a situation like you all had playing against Central on Monday and then turning around to face Page for your team to respond and perform at a high level still? How does that make you feel as a coaching staff, being you have players that will give 100% no matter what the situation might be?
Well, I mean, we've got great senior leadership. We've got some guys that's been around for a long time, and then, it was just obviously it was unfortunate with how things happened for us on our end, and obviously very sad news, coming out of Woodstock last week, which put that game into last week. But our kids really didn't miss a beat with it. They knew what was going on. We were able, fortunately, to get them out a few minutes early on Monday morning, Monday afternoon before we loaded the bus, and was able to do some walkthroughs and get their minds back on football because obviously, you traditionally don't play a whole lot of varsity football games on Monday nights, and I give our kids credit. They were able to go down and create their own atmosphere, in Woodstock, and we played extremely hard and we played well. Other than the second quarter, we had some penalties that really took us out of some drives, and it extended a few drives of theirs. But our kids, all in all, just did an outstanding job, and hats off to our kids for being able to really flip the switch as soon as the game was over with and get their minds and their bodies focused on Page County on Friday.
48-13 over Page County. It seemed like all Clarke County, for the most part, getting up a big lead early. Obviously, I would imagine must have helped pulling some of your starters in a position where you felt comfortable too when the lead was sort of in your hands. Just can you sort of all in all touch on this game and what really impressed you? And I know you pulled some of the starters out as well, or were you able to take a look at some of the depth at some positions to see what you have to work with, just to see that? Because I know as a coaching staff, you're probably evaluating a lot of different positions in different ways throughout the course of a season.
Well, yeah, I mean, we were able to get our kids out midway through the first quarter. Midway through the second quarter against Page, and at that point we took them off of special teams and everything, and we let all the other kids get a significant 2.5 quarters of run. So it was good to let our kids get some time too, because some of those guys have not had opportunity to play a whole lot this year, and they've been great teammates to the guys who are getting a lot of that playing time. So it was great to see that role reversed and having our older kids or our starters cheer on the young guys or the twos, and our kids came in there and they played hard. And the effort was totally there when those guys came in, and it was great to see. And it is the joy in their eyes too that they got a chance to play. So anytime you get those games, and they're on your side and not on the other side of losing, but anytime you get those games and you get everybody in there like that, it's really good because it does feel like an overall team win when those things do happen.
Well, I got to ask you here, Coach. Coming up this Friday, it seems like a matchup in the Bull Run District that is highly anticipated. Clarke County undefeated, Strasburg undefeated. This is probably going to be a very fun atmosphere, I would imagine. But how does it feel with getting most of your starters out early, getting them just a little bit extra rest, and going through practice this week, getting set for this game against Strasburg coming up?
Well, we got to get a couple guys healed up that are a little bit banged up. That's first and foremost. So we're not 100%, but I don't know if anybody really is at this point in the year. So we've got to get some guys healed up before Friday. But anytime it's Clarke and Strasburg, there's no question that that rivalry's been there forever, and Strasburg's extremely talented. They're on a good run of football the last few years, and they've got a tremendous amount of talent. They got some young talent, so they are in a really really good cycle of football, and they've had our number the last 2 years, and we're trying to get things right, and hopefully put a great performance on the field for those against those guys this Friday. But yeah, there's no question that the atmosphere is going to be electric, because we're going to play hard. They're going to play hard. They're well coached, and our kids will give everything they have on Friday. But it's going to be what high school football is all about, especially in this area. It's going to be fun. It's going to be really fun to be a part of the game, and just we're going to go out there and put the chips out there and see where they fall when it's all said and done.
I don't really want to make any assumptions, but I know Clarke County run predominant team and Strasburg is a run predominant team. So I would imagine a lot of running the football, which means probably a shorter game if you're not passing the football a lot. So sticking to that point, the running game, how are you looking to stop what Strasburg does best in that tight wing T in running the football in a sense?
Well, they're running the DT and they're getting massive line splits. So they're creating angles and they're creating space, and their backs hit those dives and traps, and their power game extremely quick. So one, we just can't get flying upfield and run underneath stuff. That's first and foremost, and get trapped and so forth. But they are so athletic with the backs that if they get any kind of space at all, when they get out in open space, they could definitely make plays for sure. And they've been doing that all year. So honestly, we've got to maintain the line of scrimmage as best as possible. We've got to play truly assignment football and not get ahead ourselves, where we try to do too much. And that can get you in trouble when you try to do too much, as they can take advantage of that, when you do that. And then for us on the offensive side of the ball, we have to maintain the line of scrimmage. And it's going to be a faster paced game. There's no question about that. Both teams do what they do, and they do it really well. They're good at what they do, and we're good at what we do. And the game plans, I think, for both teams can be very similar. And it's just going to come down to who can go out there and execute the thing to the best of their ability and come out with a win. But we know what we're up against Friday for sure. They have pretty much steamrolled everybody throughout their 7-game winning streak this year, and they're a very good football team.
And you mentioned sort of a faster paced game. How do you sort of get your guys ready for that? Or is it pretty easy with sort of running similar offenses?
Well, it's one of those games where you truly have to you've got to stay ahead of the chains, and that's for both teams. You can't have negative plays, you can't have penalties, and when the game gets shortened due to lack of possessions because teams run the football, you've got to make the most of your opportunities when you have them. And those are two things that if you don't take advantage of your opportunities when you have the ball, then you're in trouble. There's no question about that when you have the time of possession games that both teams kind of play. So, for us, we have got to 100% stay ahead of the chains. We cannot give them free yards. They're going to be hard enough to stop as it is because how they do and they do it so well that we cannot give them free yards. And we've got to make tackles at the line of scrimmage or around the line of scrimmage and create space plays and explosive plays. We have to try to make them drive the ball and hopefully make them make a mistake in the process of when they're doing that. If we could let them have big plays, then they're in for a long night. And I would say the same thing would be on their end too. They're going to want to try to make us drive the football and not create the explosive plays in the run game. And then when you do throw the ball, because both teams are capable of throwing it, that you cannot fall asleep in the play action passing game.
There you have it. It is a matchup that is set to be a very competitive, very exciting matchup in Berryville as the Clarke County Eagles host the Strasburg Rams, two undefeated teams, part of week 9 in high school football. As always, so gracious first time, the head coach of the Clarke County Eagles, Casey Childs. Coach, really appreciate it as always, sir.
Thanks for having me. Take care.